Indonesia is a secular country, technically, like Turkey, but a whole region of it is now controlled by Sharia law, resulting in a 60-year-old Christian woman being caned this year for selling alcohol. A 60-year-old woman. Does that sound like the kind of treatment that any minority anywhere deserves? And note in my talk, I haven't used any examples from what we would refer to as Islamic terror. This is mainstream Muslim society. And it is largely the same everywhere. This is my final, number 13, reason I hate Islam. This is just mad. All right. This city, and this city's gay community in particular, now understands, I think, the threat of Islam. If you're here at my talk, some of you may have been thinking about it too, but very few people out there do. The media refuses to talk about this problem. They will go to any length to conceal the background of attackers in terrorist attacks. They will do whatever it takes to avoid using the M word or the I word or naming people who did these things in America. And I've started to notice in the comment sections under my pieces, people have picked up on this. And in Europe, we've been dealing with this for quite some time. The BBC will sort of say, oh, an unfortunate tragedy occurred in such and such. You know? It's a bit like Obama when was it Obama? Was it characterized, was it Sandy Hook, a terrible act of workplace violence? This stuff has started to happen here too. And we've had enough of it in Europe that I can help you see some of the signs. So look out for it, because they are obscuring something that I don't think should be obscured. It falls to us, it falls to people like you, and it falls to people watching at home to wake people up. We are in an unenviable position. On the one hand, we have to defend America from the excesses of the left, the progressive left, the feminist social justice, hand-wringing, pearl-clutching, nannying left. And we do have to protect America from them, and the threat they represent to free expression and to free association. But on the other hand, we have to defend the good things the left has achieved. We have to defend women's rights, gays' rights, tolerance. We have to defend all these things from the threat of Islam. Feminists won't thank us for protecting them from Muslim patriarchs and rapists. Leftist gays won't thank us. They're cunts, by the way. They're fucking idiots. They're awful. They're awful. If only I could have sex with them without having to talk to them. I'd be so happy. Other gays are awful. They're terrible people. They won't thank you for protecting them, but you have to do it anyway. I know you're going to do it anyway because that's what conservatives and libertarians do. The thankless, miserable drudgery of cleanup. And we'll do it with a smile, because if we don't, the bad guys win. After this speech, I have no doubt, this is the strongest speech I have ever given on this subject. I have no doubt whatsoever. My security team is in the back going, oh God, did you have to do this today? No doubt that some people are going to be upset. No doubt that I will start to be targeted more aggressively than I already am. I don't bleat about it because I'm not a lefty. But I would encourage you all to remember my motto, which is laughter as well as war. Because if we can't get in a room like this, throw around a few edgy comments, make a couple of jokes, and think about things in a new way, then they have won. That is what they set out to do in the first place. That is what they are trying to do to America. So don't let them. You don't have to believe everything I say on this subject. You don't have to agree with 10% of what I say on this subject. But agree at least with the 5% that I started with today. Agree at least that the sound of laughter and joy and mischief and subversion and dissidence and all those other wonderful things at the edges of culture. Agree with me at least that we will not allow anyone to take those away from America, because free expression and free speech, the right that you guys have to do, say, and be anything, is always under threat. It's under threat every generation. It has to be earned again every generation. It is never inherited. You have to fight for it every generation. So please, I entreat you, do it. I have sketched out to you today one of the significant threats to that, free speech. So I hope that it's been interesting. America is, as I said earlier in the talk, it is the greatest country on earth, and the rest of us need you. So stay strong, stay free, and stay wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to take some questions, and we're in the delightful position that I can now look at the people questioning me. Normally they're tucked away somewhere. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to take a couple, and you should go and do that now. Go ahead. You're going to ask me more about gingers, aren't you? God damn. It's not going to get any better for you, you know. The science doesn't get any better. I stopped.
Hey, he's a handsome guy.
You coming on to me?
I'm teasing. No, the good news, as I say, is if you are into gingers, you're really into gingers. So you'll find fewer people keen on you, but those people who are keen on you will never leave you.
Trust me, my Tinder's doing pretty good.
Perfect, good. Glad to hear it. All right, go ahead.
All right, how's it going, Milo? So you usually talk about being a Catholic and use your Christianity as a talking point in a lot of your things. So I wanted to get, what is your opinion on the Pope, who recently came out and said that Europe should accept more refugees, and he's also seen washing the feet of migrants, however you want to call them. And also, my next question is, what do you think of Pepe?
I don't know how far I'm allowed to go without being excommunicated, but I sort of would rather have Pepe as Pope than this Francis guy. Benedict XVI was the good Pope. He was an awesome Pope, one of the smartest, most brilliant theologians, possibly ever to sit on the throne of St. Peter. Possibly the greatest Pope of all, maybe, until you get really far back. You know, the Urbans were quite good. I am not a fan. You know, I'll tell you something. We have to take responsibility for this in the Catholic Church, for inventing the concept of social justice. We came up with it. We are guilty of this. It was, you know, twisted and enlarged and inflated by the progressive left, but we did initially come up with this. The Catholic Church isn't as this sort of scary conservative institution that a lot of you probably think it is. It is, in fact, very left-wing. Most of the bishops in England and Wales talk more about climate change and diversity than they do about God. So it's not completely surprising to me that a pope like this would come along sooner or later. Within the limits of what I can say without getting into too much trouble with my parish priest, who I know will be watching this, my father, I'm not as much of a fan of this pope as I was of the last one.
Thank you.
So you mentioned briefly about the Dark Ages and Muslim philosophy and all that stuff, and I personally did a lot of research and essays on Averroes and Avicenna. And do you feel like there is a potential for kind of Islam to kind of reintegrate with Western ideologies such as secularism, all that stuff?
Yeah.
And if so, how?
Well, it seems. I mean, the normal answer to this, the easy answer to this is just simply to say Islam hasn't had its enlightenment yet, and that's what we're waiting for. And so I think it's a fairly common answer now. But I do think it's the right one. And what I was talking about a little earlier, I know it went a little bit heavy in some places, but the idea that Allah is sort of exempt from reason and logic is the problem. It's the reason that ultimately is the reason that there isn't a single world-class university in the Islamic world. It's the reason that Islam has found it completely impossible to engage with modernity, with modern Western liberal capitalism. I hope it's possible. On current trends, it doesn't seem likely. It certainly doesn't seem as though it's coming anytime soon. The best answer I can come up with is the one that I gave in my talk, which is we have to try, like other unpleasant ideologies in the past, or as we have tried with them and succeeded, to demonstrate that our values are better. We did this very successfully in the Cold War. We did this throughout Europe. Just show people living under these regimes that there is a better way, and that way is freedom, democracy, property rights, capitalism. That way looks a lot like America. And the more these countries become like America, I think, the happier and freer and the people will be, and the more they'll be able to flourish. But ultimately, it has to come from them. And I think, as I say, I think that the traditional answer is the right one. When Islam has an enlightenment, then we'll start to see some improvement. But it doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Milo.
Hi.
So I was at your speech yesterday, and I was a
Oh, you came yesterday?
Yeah, I was there yesterday. I was 3 people away
You
from...
see, I do a lot of shows a week, you know. It's amazing I'm still upright.
I was 3 people away from getting a question, so here I am.
Oh, well, hello.
I came back.
Wow. What amazing. Thank
My
you.
name's Jorge. I'm a Hispanic Christian conservative, and I'm voting for Donald Trump. So my question is, just a quick preface. A few summers ago, I studied in Israel, and I was in the West Bank. And observing the Arabic population, I've noticed a noticeable difference in behavior between the Christian Palestinian population and the Muslim population there. And whenever one critiques the ideas of Islam, the word racist always comes up. And the question is, how can we strategically get the conversation and the focus off of race and onto the ideas of Islam?
Yeah. Well, criticizing Islam is not racism. There is no such thing as Islamophobia. It's a ridiculous invention. Islam is a set of ideas, and like any other set of ideas, it deserves to be scrutinized, and it must stand or fall on its own merits. You don't suddenly magically acquire the invulnerability of a particular skin color because you read the Shahada a few times and just declare yourself a Muslim. It doesn't work that way. The left has been engaged in this project of confusing us, of presenting certain things as racist for a very long time. And the reason it does that is to enlarge the circle of bigots to justify its own existence. So, you know, if there are all these racists and sexists everywhere, you know, we'll enlarge the definitions of all these things. We can basically call half the population a basket of deplorables. It's precisely what Hillary does. Call half the population a basket of deplorables. And it sort of justifies the perpetuation of the left in the country. Well, say, we've got all these problems to fix. Well, you made them for the most part. And one of the ways they do that is to sort of conflate like this and sort of slide. It's like a sort of bait and switch, you know, slide in race for ideology. I mean, I think anybody dumb enough to insist that your critique of Islam represents racism, they're probably not smart enough for you to debate, and you should move on and go and talk to somebody else.
Thank you.